Tune into Nice Radio every Saturday at 7:30 a.m. for A View from the Outside, hosted by Brereton Horne. A View from the Outside takes a look at key issues affecting St Vincent and the Grenadines and gives a global perspective on how these issues are viewed. Host Brereton Horne will examine a variety of topics to enlighten, stimulate debate, and explore solutions. Hear the facts, hear the real-life stories, hear A View from the Outside. Join Brereton Horne at 7:30 a.m. every Saturday on Nice Radio for A View from the Outside.
This society needs a spectacle. It might help us to see some need.
On A View from the Outside this week being the 5th of March 2022, we look at sustainable, and we do so with the focus on the women of St Vincent and the Grenadines. Bearing in mind this year's theme for International Women's Day, which is Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. The Oxford Dictionary defines sustainable as able to be upheld and maintained. And the Macmillan Dictionary states that sustainable is using methods that do not harm the environment. Those definitions tell us that to be sustainable is to be upheld or approved of. To be sustainable is to be defended. To be sustainable is to use methods not to harm. To be sustainable is to ensure that the environment for growth is an enabling one. Next Tuesday, the 8th of March 2022, is International Women's Day. It is the day when countries all over the world join in solidarity to celebrate the achievements of women. It is a day which has its origins in women's suffrage dating back to the early 1900s. It is the day which has been recognized by the United Nations, the UN, dating back to 1975. It is the day when honors are bestowed on women, women of the past, women of the present, and even future generations, in order to ensure that by acknowledging and championing them, we acknowledge and champion their achievements so that a sustainable environment is created and fostered for them. It is a day when both men and women are invited to take part in activities and campaigns to raise awareness for the plight of women so that the future of women remains sustainable. The theme for this year's activities and celebrations, as said before, is Gender Equality for Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. That day, the 8th of March, has become so significant in the international calendar. Since the 1980s, early 1990s, presidents of the United States of America have been given the authority to proclaim from year to year that the entire month of March is observed as Women's History Month. So, March is Women's History Month in the United States of America, and the 8th of March is International Women's Day all over the world. In keeping with the definition of sustainable, and also in keeping with the UN's theme for International Women's Day this year, we on A View from the Outside make the call for the enabling environment to be created to ensure that our Vincentian women have a sustainable future. We make the call for our women to be upheld. We make the call for our women to be defended. We make the call for methods which cause harm to our women to be stopped. We make the call for our women to be treated equally. We make the call for our women to be celebrated. We make the call for the denigration and vilification of our women to stop. We make the call for adequate and sustainable health care to be provided for our women. We make the call for sustainable employment to be provided for our women. We make the call for our women to be provided with support for business and innovation so that there is a sustainable tomorrow for them. We make this call because for far too long, far too many Vincentians have sat back and watched the denigration, vilification, and destruction of many of the women of St Vincent and the Grenadines. Too many Vincentians have done very little or nothing to stop the regime, especially to stop those at the top in their tracks. Too many, especially the men, have allowed themselves to be emasculated and become too submissive to stand up, support, protect, and defend the women of the country. Men, the Vincentian women need you now more than ever before. They need you to become involved, and they need you to speak up and act on their behalf. Defend them, protect them, preserve them so that they have a sustainable tomorrow. Too many of our Vincentian women have suffered and continue to suffer at the hands of the regime. Vincentians, no doubt, will be familiar with some of the names of the women of the country who have experienced the oppressive hand of the regime in one form or another. These names include, but not exhaustive, Michelle Andrews, Margaret London, Kate, Luzette King, the late Susan Duncan, Adriana King, Josette Bowen, Anna Mae Pope, Yogi Farrell, and certainly there are many more. Among the victimized women also are those young girls, including the so-called Parliament girls, who are said to be people trafficked or have fallen victims to human trafficking in their own country. There are those who are made to go to offices and compromise themselves by those who wield power, and they're made to do so in the most debasing and humiliating way. In a climate of extreme poverty, they do so for the mere promise of a job, a promotion, or a scholarship, or just merely to survive on a day-to-day basis. Also among those victimized women are all those female teachers, nurses, doctors, police officers, sanitation workers, and other public servants who were fired from their jobs and put on the breadline for having refused the regime's vaccination mandate and for not having taken the COVID-19 vaccine. It is time for such treatment of our women to stop. We must demand that our women are treated equally. It is time to demand change. Demand that inequality, division, and abuse based on political allegiance or perceived political allegiance is stopped. Demand to have the enabling environment where professionals are willing rather than reluctant to participate in national discourse because of fear of reprisals and repercussions. We must take steps to ensure that there is a sustainable tomorrow for the women of St Vincent and the Grenadines. We cannot afford to let another opportunity pass us by. The time is now. For this year, for International Women's Day, we, on A View from the Outside, encourage everyone to become involved. Get involved in the celebration of Vincentian women, past and present. Remember Erling Horne, Nelsia Robinson, Mary Hutchison, Stephanie Brown, Ivy Joshua, Yvonne Francis Gibson, and all the others of their ilk. Remember the current Governor General. Remember all the formidable female teachers, nurses, doctors, policewomen, upstanding, uncompromising civil servants, and farmers. Remember Nicole Sylvester and Kay Bacchus Batiste. And also remember and celebrate women in your own communities who have been unwavering in their morals and who have kept their families together without compromising themselves. Remember those sports women, those women in sports who have contributed and those who continue to contribute today. The netballers, the cricketers, the athletes, and those in the other sporting disciplines. Appreciate them, celebrate them. Grasp the opportunity this year and do something in celebration of our women to ensure that the future of our women in St Vincent and the Grenadines remains sustainable, and also to ensure an enlightened tomorrow for the country, St Vincent and the Grenadines. Let our women know that they are appreciated. Let them know that they are wanted. Let them know that we recognize that they are a sustainable part of the development of the country. We cannot continue to have a situation where critical thinking is stifled and snuffed out. Our women must be a voice in the sustainable future of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We cannot continue to have a situation where attempts are made to drown out all other voices and opinions that do not conform to the dictates of the regime. We must have that enabling environment for the women of our country. Having highlighted some of the many examples of women and spheres within which we must honor and celebrate them, we, on A View from the Outside, leave you, the listener, to identify those in your village, your community, your town. We encourage you to single them out for recognition, honor, and praise. And we encourage you also to do everything you possibly can to realize the United Nations theme on the celebration of International Women's Day this year. Don't forget the theme. It is Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. Until next week, this is Brereton Horne with A View from the Outside, with a reminder to send your feedback as usual to aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. We also invite you to visit and like our Facebook page at A View from the Outside, and also to visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel at JMB Horne. Justin, you and all of the listeners have a pleasant Saturday, have a wonderful Sunday, and have a productive week ahead, ensuring that our Vincentian women